welcome to another episode of You Left Shit Out. And I have a very, very special guest today joining me. You already see the very someone I admire very, very much. This is the revolutionary AFENI. How are you doing, AFENI?
Hey! Oh wow, that's really nice. Thank you. I'm really excited to be here, and I'm really excited to get started. There's so much to talk about. There really is.
Exactly. That's what we were just talking about off camera. Like, wow, where do you want to start? Because there's so much stuff. But let's start with Black youth because it's an important topic. Not that it's not the only important topic, but it's an important topic. And recently, something happened where I saw somebody on the street trying to raise money for this black young lady, beautiful lady, that girl that had passed away. And so that's what's heavy on my heart. So I wanted to start with Black youth. And when we talked about it in the DM, you were just going off, or no, in a signal, you were going off like, I have this, I have that, I have this. What's something that's hot on your mind right now when you think of Black youth? Like, what's one of the topics that's hot for you?
Absolutely. I think that I definitely miss the State of the Union. The news cycle, but
Right.
just I think that we should really marinate on some of the things that we heard because I feel like
Mm,
so often, especially on the online spaces, we hear things and we just blow over them so quickly.
that's
But
true.
Joe Biden really said with his whole chest, like, no, we're going to expand the police state, y'all. Like, and we don't care who it affects. We don't care whose children get locked up. We're going to expand the police state, y'all. And even out here in DC a couple of months ago, a council member by the name of Mary Che went out and said basically like we need to just lock up more black youth. Like we need to incarcerate more of them. If we want safer streets, we need to increase the police budget, fix the DC jail, and send more of them to jail. Well,
Understand.
these kids have been going to jail. Some of these kids been dying. Some of these kids done lost their friends. Some of these kids aren't doing well in school because of PTSD and all different types of trauma. And the solution that not only on this local level that Councilmember Mary Che has found, but the national solution that Joe Jim Crow Biden has decided is going to be the solution is to incarcerate more black children. Is to throw them back into the very same cycle that is causing the violence and the harm that we see in our communities right now.
Just
Doesn't really make
despicable.
that is it's just for me,
Despicable.
I'm just very frustrated and I'm very tired. Like I feel like a lot of the messaging that, we should be standing by that could help the black community, that could help us overall, as a community as a nation we're not talking about because we're getting so caught up in other things. And even now where we're seeing black kids still dying across the country. Black people are still being shot by the police across the country. A couple of weeks ago, hopefully I can find it and I can send it to you so we can put it up. But a little black girl in California was
Yeah.
terrorized and arrested and by the police. And you could tell that was a child. Like there was no mistaking her for anything else but a child. And this is how they're treating our children. This is the institution we want to give our money to. Like we cannot continue to vote for this. And one thing that I really did want to talk about today is that there are a lot of, black people on a lot of black people that did vote for Joe Biden, a lot of black people that honestly really wouldn't expect to not still want to support the Democratic Party. Like they're even them are standing up and saying like no, like this is not acceptable. Like we can't get the basic smallest crumbs. Like black
Right.
millennials and black Gen Zers are really getting forced back into we're all getting forced back into our jobs, like not working remote anymore. But why? We're still like just because y'all are at war with Ukraine does not mean the pandemic's not still happening. Does not mean that
Right.
people still aren't dying. So exactly what is forcing everybody back into the office space do other than just force us back into
Right.
normalcy? Joe Biden has not done shit. He has not done shit. He has not kept a single promise, and everybody can feel that.
I agree, and the polls reflect that. And let me, you brought up the State in the Union. Let's play the part where he talks about funding the police here, and well, I'll give you my opinion on the other side.
The answer is not to defund the police; it's to fund the police. Fund them. Fund them. Fund them with resources and training. Resources and training they need to protect our communities. I ask Democrats and Republicans alike to pass my budget and keep our neighborhoods safe. The answer is not to.
You know what I see when I see that, AFENI? I see the leader of a racist nation talking to their predominantly white nation, trying to make them feel comfortable that, hey, don't worry about this. Of course, we're not going to defund the police. And he had to make a statement because he didn't have to mention this at all. Like, he literally didn't have to mention this whatsoever. You're not for it. I get it. You didn't have to. This was kind of like a shiv, like a shiv in the gut, like we're gonna show you that this ain't happening. We about to do this to our overseers. We're gonna underfund our overseers. This is not happening. That's how I saw this particular part of the speech. What were your thoughts when just, I know you kind of talked about it, but what was your reaction? Did you tweet out something right when you heard it, or what, like we just said, oh my God, like I can't believe this? Like, what was your gut feeling or gut reaction?
So the night of the State of the Union, I didn't watch the State of the Union live like everybody else. Like, I watched it the next day and I watched it twice. It's about an hour long.
Yeah.
So I watched it the next day and I watched it twice because I really just wanted to take in what he had to say. Joe Biden had no reason to mention funding the police. Like, I understand the Democrats feel like they're under attack because of the defund the police messaging. The only people that feel that way are the Democratic Party. Because the reason why people don't fucking like you is because you have not kept a goddamn promise. You didn't have to mention it because it's not on the front of anyone's mind except for y'all's. So you brought that up as to say what? As to say, yes, Black community, we've heard you. We heard that you need resources. We've heard that you need mental health care. We've heard that you need health care and we've heard that you need healthcare and hospitals and ambulances in your neighborhoods. We've heard that your kids need recreational programs and increase funding for public schools. We've heard that your kids need summer jobs programs so they're not bored on the street. Instead, they got somewhere to be and something to do. We've heard that you want your kids to have all of that, but instead, we give them incarceration. We give them criminalization because your kids are not fucking human. So we don't give a fuck about your kids. Our kids aren't going to be arrested. Our kids aren't going to be stopped and frisked. I mean, fucking, like, Joe Biden knows that his kids ain't gonna be stopped and frisked. Joe Biden knows his grandbabies ain't gonna be stopped and frisked. All of these people know that. They know that. And Black people, like, I know people try to, like, there are Black people on the internet that say that Black people in the communities don't want an alternative to the police. Yes, the fuck they do.
Yes, they do.
You don't think that they want drug intervention? Yes, they do. Right. They do.
It's almost like they only talk to boomers. It's like they talk to boomers, and that's the only opinions they put out. But I'm sorry, but go ahead. I just had to put that in there. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, like, DC had to create a whole nother helpline specifically for non-police intervention because people did not want the police showing up to everything because they escalate every situation. When you have somebody that is overdosing, or say maybe you have somebody that's having a mental episode and they're physically violent. Yes. So instead of de-escalating the situation and bringing in mental health professionals, no, we escalate it by bringing in guns and tasers and breaking down doors. Like, what?
And the argument of AFENI, this argument, I'm going to play another clip of on The View. This argument that Oh, it's just so confusing. That's why, like at this point, AFENI, anybody still using that? It's come on. By now, you still don't know what defund the police, or how about this? Instead of saying let's not use it, anything that somebody that doesn't understand, don't you explain it? Like if you say, like I asked you, what really exactly is mutual aid? You don't go, well, let me change the name. No, you go, okay, you don't know what it is. Let me tell you what mutual aid is. So if you don't know what defund the police is, why don't you contact us and we'll tell you what defund the police is? You get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
by now you should know what it is. Go ahead, AFENI. I'm sorry.
Well, so yeah, no, absolutely. And I used to organize in DC with a coalition called the Defund MPD Coalition, right?
Mm.
And an argument that we had internally was, damn, maybe this shit does suck. So I helped them write a whole new framework around refund the community. Y'all don't want to say defund the police? Great, but we need a fucking refund. Our tax dollars are paying for that shit. So maybe we should focus on the positives, the things that we do need, and let's try it that way. But at the end of the day, when you explain what defund the police is, that's all you're doing. It's telling people these are all the things that we need money for. Here are all the things the police do wrong, and this is the reason why they shouldn't still be an institution. They're failing. If there was another institution where, like, you know, the police, there's a 48% recidivism rate in this country. If there was another institution where they failed almost half the time, people were still going, having to go back and try again. You don't think that we would shut that shit down? Yes. Children fail one test, one statewide test. Their teacher gets fucking fired. But so you're telling me that's not a form of defunding? Get the fuck out of here. Y'all do it all the time. Y'all fund shit that y'all don't deem as necessary. If the police, I think it's like over 50% of violent crime goes unreported whatsoever. That's a failing job to me.
Right. Less
than 1% of rapists actually get convicted. Failing motherfucking job to me. If y'all can even find them motherfuckers at that. Like, y'all are failing. It's a failure. It's a 0. It's an E. It's an F. Whatever you need, whatever grading system we need to go by, they have failed. So how do we talk about moving to shit that we actually know works, because there are statistics to back up the fact that housing first programs work. Drug intervention programs work. Funding public school education, having recreational programs through that public school education, having summer camps and summer activities through the public education system. Guess what? That shit works. So we should just talk about the things that we do need. Y'all don't want to talk about defund the police? Great. All the time that you're spending talking about how terrible of a slogan it is, you could be talking about, number 1, how to make the messaging better. Or you could be talking about, number 2, what the fuck it actually means.
Right. It's like they just stop. It's like, okay, you don't like the name of something, but let's talk about it. You get what I'm saying? It's like the participation in a conversation stops where, oh, we don't like the slogan. That's it. We're gone. Right. But let's think about what the police does. Like they're giving out traffic tickets. They're responding to mental health situations. They're responding to domestic health situations. They're responding to a cat on the street. They're responding to, a dog on the street, a loose dog. They're responding to so many. You're telling me their trains them for all of that stuff? That's like 4 or 5 different jobs right there. So it just doesn't make sense. Literally, the police. Now, I'm an abolitionist, so I think they should be gone. But let's say the bare minimum, the police should literally be coming out in a small percentage of calls, because the majority of calls aren't about a violent offense. Come out with your guns because something is happening right now. That's very, very rare. It's like, hey, somebody broke in my car. Hey, somebody car accident. Like, do we really need police coming out to car accidents? That can't be something else. We really need a police coming out. Hey, I have this child who's autism. He's an adult, but he's my son. And right now he's having an episode right now. Can you come? He's bigger than me, so I need help just physically. And they come out with their guns. You get what I'm saying? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
You know the reason why they do that though? The reason why they're dog catchers, the reason why they're school resource officers, the reason why they're security, the reason why they do all these different things is because they have to legitimize the role. The same way that they have to legitimize that dumbass, stupid ass, overbloated military budget outside of our borders. They have to legitimize that. They need something to put behind that. It's the same way that they have to fund the third biggest military in the world, which is the United States Police Force.
Think about that. I didn't know that. I didn't know. So the funding, if you put all the funding for the police, all police departments together in the United States,
funding
it's the third largest military on the planet.
Third largest military globally. So we have the largest military by way of magnitude in the world. And then on top of that, we have the third largest military within our borders. And they also, a lot of the time, they don't count the CIA, the FBI, ICE. They don't count all them when they count all that stuff. So, I mean, if you add in all of those agencies that, look into and investigate things, then you're really looking at an overblown police state with a budget that is just unfucking conceivable. Because these are the budgets that we can actually track. And a lot of the times, like one thing that I've learned from the budget process, working like in the, that defund the police spaces, a lot of the time, that flat police budget that you see that gets approved, they spend millions of dollars over that. You can't just look at their actual budget. I mean, their appropriated budget. No, you have to look at the actual budget. And that's how you find out how much the police in your neighborhood are actually making. And then look at your health and human services budget. See how those compare. See what your the local police officer is making, and then look at what your child school teacher is making. Try that. Let's do some of those comparisons. Honestly, whose job is more essential to you? Is it raising the future leaders of this country, raising the future human beings and making them, better people, full thinking, critical thinking human beings? Is it that? Or is it criminalizing them and scaring them and traumatizing them?
So, I mean, it's just infuriating sometimes. But I do, just at this point, because I don't want to forget it, I do want to just shout out this young lady whom I saw. I'm sorry, let me find. Okay, I saw the link that you sent me there, AFENI. But there's this young lady whose family I saw on the street raising money for her funeral. And she's a Black youth. Oh, let me share my screen right here. Just want to give her a shout out. Their family, they're trying to raise money for her funeral. So it's, it ties in here because it's that beautiful girl. And her Cash App here is Thomas Rios 1. Thomas Rios 1, and I hope I'm saying her name right. Talia Smith, R.I.P. Talia Smith. Saw her family raising money, actually in Long Beach when I was visiting my mom, and that's her there. So, if you're able to contribute, please do. It's unfortunate. The thing is, AFENI, this is very common. And this is why it ties into the topic. This is very common in LA. I don't know if you've seen it before anywhere else. People are on the street. Like when you're stopping at traffic lights, they're on the street. We have the immigrants who are selling like flowers and stuff so they can pay the people that brought them over. They're always having to pay them. So they're literally out there selling buckets of flowers and different balloons and stuff like that, just trying to raise money. Or you see people trying to raise money for funerals like this. And it's heartbreaking because people this is so much I want to say. The situation where people can't even afford to bury their child. What as a society are we doing? What are we doing here? To have this is trauma on top of trauma. Trauma, and I've dealt with this several times with different family members where it's like we're trying to scramble to raise money. You got where we're burying people a month later, a month and a half later, because that's when we got all the money to bury them. And it's just terrible. And to speak on some of the things we talked about, behind the scenes, it just feels like this situation is so ripe for people to understand where we're at and to change something. Like we have to, people's ear is open because of what's happening, like what's happening to this family. They're open to listening what's happening to us because of their situation. So in the pandemic, so everybody's ear seems to be kind of like open to like listening to like, is there some sort of revolution happening or gonna happen? And they're right to take that. Like it seems anxious to me, is how I'm reading, or at least a little bit more anxious than normal. But again, if you're able to contribute, I'm gonna shout this out a few times during different streams. So if you're able to contribute, please do, to provide a little less trauma on this family who's trying to bury this young lady. So yeah, just wanted to shout that out. But what do you think about that? As far as we've gotten to a point to where you said it too. It's like people are ready, hungry. Maybe instances like this, or some other instance in a pandemic, or your cousin was murdered in their bed. You get what I'm saying? Like so many things are happening. There's so much I want to say, but what are your thoughts on in any part of this or all of this that I'm asking about?
First of all, lay so peacefully, beautifully. And I think that, it's just really sad because if this little girl was white and her family posted her family was raising money, they'd probably have it already. Somebody would have picked it up. Some news cycle, some local news channel would have picked it up. Like that's the privilege that, that whiteness comes with. And we see it all the time. So it's just really sad because, as somebody who organizes, it's really hard for me to accept half-ass solutions. Because we see things like this often. We come across, like, especially if you're doing mutual aid, you're with your unhoused neighbors, you're working to get them sustainable resources, whether it's like drug intervention, whether that's whether that's a phone service, something like that. Like when we're working with them that closely, like the stories that we hear, like it's so hard not to be angry that things aren't moving faster. It's so hard not to be angry that we can't snap our fucking fingers and get them the resources that they deserve, because we are all human beings. And it's ridiculous that we live in the richest country in the world, and for some reason we can find $6 billion to pull out of our asses to give lethal aid to another country. We can pull another $3.8 billion out of our asses to give another country an Iron Dome. We can pull another millions and millions and millions of dollars out of our asses to fund a proxy war in Yemen, a genocide in Yemen. But we can't make sure that parents can have support while if they have to bury their children in the richest country in the world, where we're producing 40% more or something like that. I'm going to scratch that statistics. I don't think I just quoted it right. But we're producing more than we were 40 years ago. By a number of magnitude, we are producing more than we were 40 years ago. And yet, wages have gone nowhere. Who do you think that affects the most? Who is working these low wage jobs these gig worker jobs. I promise you, it ain't the 74% of white people in this country that own their home. Because 74% of white people that live in their home own it. We can't say that. We can't even get close to saying that. So who are these people that are working these jobs? Who are these people that are working 2, 3, 4 of these jobs? Exactly. So it's not even just enough to say like, oh, we need to defund the police. It's not just about that. We need to do more than just defund the police. We need to actually be very intentional about where that money goes. We need to be very intentional about the types of jobs we create. We need to be very intentional about where things are manufactured, how they're manufactured. We need to be very intentional about making sure that we not only are we fighting for reparations, but we're fighting for raises and wages as well. Because yes, reparate me, but I don't want to be paid slave wages afterwards.
Right. Right.
Fuck that.
Right.
I need to be able to maintain what you just gave me, baby. Come on now. Stop playing. Like we cannot settle for bullshit. And as a Black person who actually organizes in a Black neighborhood, like I'm so tired of these internet pundits trying to tell us what the boomers want. I can tell y'all, as many scared grandmas that there are about Black youth being out here in the streets, there are just as many scared mothers that their sons won't come the fuck home. And I promise you, they do not want the police gunning their fucking child down. I promise you, they don't want their baby in jail neither. So
it's another. I mean, I know this is terrible. I don't have the picture readily handy, but it's another person I need to shout out that was killed by the police. I don't tell this story that much because I'm still traumatized by it. But this is my son, who is 19 now. His best friend, maybe 2-3 years ago, was killed by the Long Beach Police Department. Yeah, his name is Jordan Griffin. You can Google it. Jordan Griffin, Long Beach Police Department, killed him. And whatever story they tell you, I don't believe a word of it. So one of the things that if I ever became financially able, that's one thing that I would have investigated again, because there's no way that kid, 18 years old, just graduated high school, shot dead by the police. Yeah, and his family, he's the oldest. His mom has a special needs daughter that he was helping her with. She's working 2 jobs. That's the kind of stuff, AFENI, why I do this. Like, who's gonna speak for them? Because all she's gonna do is put her head down. What can she do? She have other kids she has to take care of. She really doesn't even have the time to grieve. All her other kids are under 18. He was the oldest. And so the trajectory of that family is forever changed. Just like when my uncle married 8 kids, 7 are girls. Just think of that. So he's gonna have a bunch of grandkids. The trajectory of their lives changed when he was shot. Drove himself to the hospital at Killer King in Compton. That's the nickname, because you go in there and die when you shouldn't. Went in there, drove himself, and somehow he died. Changed. That's capitalism. That's oppression. That hospital is known for people dying from. Do you think there's a hospital in a white neighborhood where people are known for dying from things that they shouldn't die from? And everybody just go.
Same thing with Howard Hospital.
It's terrible, AFENI. Like, voting is not going to fix this. Voting is not going to fix this, AFENI. So what are we going to do? What are we going to do? We can't sit back anymore and allow our community to just be terrorized and traumatized.
I mean, honestly, I'm just to the point where I really want to organize our folks. Like, we need to organize our folks because there are too many Black people that have been, you know, brainwashed into the idea that somehow, some way, the system is going to find some protection for them, even if they get just enough money.
How do we break through? How do we break through to our Black people, our Black folks, AFENI? It's hard because we've been so long that racism is pretty much over. We've come a long way. Anybody can get a job as long as you work hard. So you internalize the fact that you're not able to succeed as it's you, not understanding that you have system barriers. You have system barriers. So how do we reach these people, AFENI, who think that they're free because they have a job and they're able to afford an apartment and a car? So they think, well, I must be free. Like, how do we reach Black folks to get them to understand what's going on and what we need to do to unite here?
I mean, I ain't gonna hold you. Like, I think that I don't really know how old you are, CJ, because you say you're 19. I'm about to say people are like in our 2 generations, but you might be born in the 1980s or 1970s on me.
I'm a 1980s. Yes, I'm a 19s. Yeah, I'm a late. I grew up in the 80s. You mean my age? Oh, I'm 44.
Oh, yeah. Jesus, you're the same age as my mama. Anyway.
Yeah. So I know I look young. I live a young life. My wife is a lot younger because people think that I'm young. Like, when I try dating girls my age, they don't even give me the time of day. Like, get out of here, little kid. It's like, no, I'm actually your age. But it's a good thing. It's a good thing. I'm not complaining. But anyway, back to the topic. Everybody's like, what the fuck? Yes. I talked to Rome about this when he was here. He was like, yeah, a lot of people think you're this age. And I'm like, yeah, no, I try to keep it hidden because it keeps a little mysteriousness going on, but I let the cat out of the bag. But yes, old, how?
I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yeah. But back to what we were, you know what they say, black don't crack. So
they sure don't.
But yeah, and another funny thing isn't it's hereditary. My dad was 18 years older than my mom. So that tells you he looked a lot younger. He was able to say, oh, I'm 30 something when he was a lot older, and fooled my mom too. So hey, unique stories of CJ. I should do an episode where I just some of the stories people would know. But just my age. Let's see how long this goes on for people out there. It's funny. But back to the situation. Back to the topic. AFENI, I feel exhausted as far as, like, I don't need any other traumatic experiences to happen, and I'm at like high level. Like, I'm there. I want to bring more people along to be with us there. But again, when you're trying to convince a black person who, oh, I work at Verizon and, I got me a car and my own apartment. Hey, other black people aren't living as well. Look what's happening to black people here and here. Let's unite. It's hard to get them away from their Sunday brunch. It's hard to get them away from their, Wednesday night poker game. It's hard to get them out of that comfort in order to join a movement.
One thing I've really realized, so what I was going to say is, like, I feel like Gen Z, millennials, like, they're really starting to get it. Like, we quit jobs. You feel me? We ain't loyal to none of y'all motherfuckers because we know that y'all not loyal to us. You see what I'm saying? we don't. Like, I definitely think that a lot of people in our generation are really starting to feel that.
Wait, you said Gen Z? Wait, you said Gen Z, right?
Like Gen Z and millennials. I feel like you're like Gen X, right?
I am. I'm the same. I was with Jackie. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think some Gen Xers. I honestly think that you have to meet Gen Xers where they're at. Like, Gen Xers need to see the numbers. Like, how can I financially benefit from being a socialist? Show me that.
Right.
And if that, like, and I think that that's a really, you know, and of course it's not necessarily our way. Like, I'm an anti-capitalist. I would love if we all just fucking, I'm anti-capitalist and I'm anti-labor. Like, I'm so anti-work, it's crazy. If we could all just, I don't know, exist, I would love that.
Right.
Exist, eat,
Right.
live our lives. Like, I would love that for all of us. But clearly, you know, we see where we're at. But
Right.
I think there's so many, like, I think that so many Gen Xers especially care about student loan debt, because not only do they have their own student loan debt, but now they got their kids, if their kids went to college. A lot of these kids, like, a lot of they care about stuff like that. Like, well, they're not gonna ever cancel it. Like, we can do all this other shit. Like, I mean, I'm on the organizing committee with the Debt Collective, and we're doing a cancel student debt action. I'm inviting as many Black people into the space as possible. We need to bring as many niggas as we can to this, because at the end of the day, we have to, like, that's the voting block that for some reason some people just pay attention to, especially Black women. We carry the vote for Black people. So, like, we have to meet people where they're at. Some people genuinely think because they're our ancestors and they mama and they grandmama fought for the right to vote, that they have to vote anyway. Like, there's something in them that they says they have to vote. Bet. I've always tell people, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But you also should support this. You should also be doing this. You should also join more radical groups, and hopefully you'll be radicalized out of that, because, you know, that's just what happens. But yeah, you know,
like, I feel like we gotta put, you know what, we keep saying these things. Maybe it's gonna be us, AFENI. Maybe it, because if we keep saying this needs to happen, why aren't every, like, then that means then we're gonna have to be the ones that say, okay, we're gonna have to get this jump started, because something needs to happen. And this kind of bleeds into our next, and we're gonna just keep both topics on the table, bleeds into our next topic, is how do we get these things accomplished? How do the left gain power to get these things done for the Black community? And I always say this about the Black community: the Black community are leftists, because when you talk about, right, they just don't identify with that word necessarily, because I used to think leftist meant something else. But Black people are leftists because you've asked them about healthcare, if you ask them about income inequality, if you ask them about several different things, you'd be like, oh, you're a leftist. And it's like, oh, no, I'm not. But the point that I'm making is, it's not a jump for policy. It's not like we have to convince Black people on policy, in my opinion. The majority, I think, are on, we think everybody should have health care. We think everybody should be paid a living wage. We think everybody should,
But they keep voting for Democrats over and over again. I've been a registered independent since 2018. So, I mean, every single time I vote in an election, my vote doesn't technically get counted, like, because I'm independent. So it's just like, because
I'm independent too. I'm independent too, and I'm gonna be voting Green Party until we get another better option. But I don't know. So let me play this video here to kind of bleed into the next story here. Well, but actually, first, you told me you had a couple of videos. Did you have anything that you wanted me to put up before we?
Well, so it's the I sent you one on Twitter. It's like a TikTok about.
Oh, now I see it. Yeah, let me click on it.
About.
Yeah, let me click on it right now.
No, so here's what I will say about the Black community being leftist. The Black community, they are farther to the left and more, amicable to, like, certain socialist policies than other demographics. But Black people are a lot of Black people are very, very conservative. And that's where we lose them, is in like some of those, like, more like culture war type of issues. You know what I'm saying? So
is that where we lose the Black people over a certain age, or any age we lose them regardless?
I think any of them Bible thumping Christians. I'm sorry, I got some Bible thumping Christian friends. My bad, y'all.
We all do. I have family. I have friends. Like, hey, I mean, we can talk.
The ones that don't believe in gay marriage, that don't believe in trans rights.
Right. That's where. So that's the part. I'm glad you brought that up, because that's the part I'd never articulated why there was a disconnect between why they don't call themselves, and it's that what you're saying.
Yeah,
It's those
'cause they
social
don't support
issues where
gay
they say,
marriage,
"Oh, I'm
because they
not
don't
with
support
that."
abortion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ain't supporting abortion. I ain't doing none of that.
So what do we do? How do we? So when now I'm gonna kind of compare the two. Now, when we're talking about a leftist coalition, we always ask this question: who are we gonna coalition with? People who are okay with not fighting for trans rights, people who are okay with not being anti-imperial, trying to just pick. How do we decide? But it's the same question that Black leftists have to decide. Like, what are we doing with our Black community? How do we save our Black community if a lot of them think this way? How do we coalition with them? How do you answer that, AFENI? Oh. Are you still there?
Hello. My bad. It froze, so I turned my camera off when it freezes because I don't want to be caught slipping. Period. I'm not playing.
You got caught slipping. You got caught slipping before or something. You just paranoid about
well,
it.
I've just seen it happen to other people where they face get stuck real dumb. That won't happen to me. Sorry.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. But yeah, the Black
again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I guess the person is describing them as a Black conservative, where they're with us on everything, like economically, like on point. But when you start to talk about abortion, when you start to talk about trans rights, gay rights, when you start to talk about just things like culture, social warrior type of things, that's where we lose the Black people. So how do we, when we're talking about trying to when we're campaigning for this revolution, AFENI, and we're trying to get more people on, and we're trying to educate and doing the things that we do, what is the message? How do you talk to those type of people?
I mean, I really think that I feel like we can win people over more with like some of the economic policies. And that's the stuff that I really genuinely feel like, no offense, that's stuff that matters. Because you know what? Equity follows the money, period. So if we are not talking about like, no, we need reparations and we need equitable economic policies. We need equitable tax code. We need equitable credit is stupid. We need to abolish the credit system. Period. Because we're the only country that does it. It's the dumbest shit ever.
Yeah.
Credit needs to go because it's just another way to sort out most of the time racially, most of the time whether it's gender based, it's a way to sort out who can and can't have what. Fuck that. That type of stuff is the stuff that we need to really talk about as well. And at the end of the day, the way I see talking to Black people about social issues is, at the end of the day, I am Black, I am queer, I am a woman, all at the same time. So the best thing you can do is mind your business. Okay? I ain't asking you to agree with me. I'm not asking you to like me. I'm not asking you to support me. I'm asking you to mind your business so I can live my life and you can live yours.
Right.
Because I'm not judging what the fuck y'all got going on in y'all little Christian households. Sure not.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot to judge in the Black Christian household in particular. There's a lot to judge, and I have it all over my family. My mom was a former ordained pastor. I've been to church, grew up in the church all of my life. I don't follow it anymore, but I grew up in the church all of my life. And this is part of how I think we keep Black people oppressed. The system is through the church. It's because it's just think about how some maybe slaves who said, hey, instead of going out and picking up something to go fight, let me go pray to the God that they're telling me is going to save me from this. You get what I'm saying? So it's this belief in that eventually, getting us to believe that because I pay my rent, God help me. You get what I'm saying? It's this type of thinking around it. It's this type of thinking that I'm always around. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Every single time I hear that, faith without works is dead. You ain't hear that. You ain't see that in the Bible though. You saw everything else. You saw that boys can't cook boys, but you ain't see that the Bible said you gotta put your own work in.
Right.
That's how things happen. Because it's the same thing. Like I'm a spiritualist, so I believe in manifestation. Mm-hmm. One of the things they tell you when you're manifesting is to live as though you already have it. faith without works is dead. I'm already stepping into who I am, what it is, period. And like, that's just, I'm free because that's what I'm manifesting. So I'm going to move as though I'm free, period. Like, so I just don't understand how people, like, how do you forget that part? Like, there's no fucking way that you think that the same party that y'all keep capping for in the Black Christian community, the same party that has not given you a lick of humanity outside of symbolism. Juneteenth is a holiday, but are your sons safe? Juneteenth is a holiday, but do your kids have clean drinking water in their urban city? You know what I'm saying? They just passed the anti-lynching legislation through the House. We'll see if it actually gets passed through the Senate now. But okay, but is that going to stop us from actually getting lynched by the police? No. So, stop accepting crumbs, period. And in order for us to get where we want to go, in order for us to, wield our power, we have to put some work into our faith, which means get your ass in the street, period.
No, that's facts on top of facts. There is a let me see where it's at. Here it goes right here. The Black church is a problem, and we actually talked about this when I had the Bank sisters and Nick on the show, straight out of politics. So let me play this short clip of them talking about how the Black church is a problem. I think it's Nick, or it may be both of them talking. Let's listen, and we'll talk about it on the other side.
You guys understand that there are a lot of leaders in the Black church that takes money from financial industries, the same financial industries that give money to the Black Congressional Caucus. Yep. So then, when the election comes, guess who they sheep herd people to? Oh, we got to stand up for the community. We got to support Jim Clyburn. What in favor of Biden against Bernie? Yes, this is what they always do. I was in South Carolina. I've seen it. So they are a net evil and a net negative influence in our life.
Rather than teaching Black people what our values are, what we need, and how to be searching out the right candidates for that, and not aligning ourselves with anybody, I feel like that's how evangelicalism, that's how those kind of things got courted, because they don't change their positions, they don't back down, they don't negotiate, they have their things that they want it until somebody comes around to them. Well, but then now they're being served too, because they've got a symbiotic relationship, right? Yeah, I feel like the Black church, it's too much with this Democrat. It's just too much. Okay.
What it is the religion. It's the tie-in of religion and throwing out all the other stuff that who you're teaming up with. That's essentially what's happening. They've tied their hitch to other white Christians, but these white Christians are the same people in the Republican Party who hate our guts. I was about to use a cuss word, but who hate our guts, right? So that's essentially because my mom, before she started watching MSNBC all the time, she was on this station called TBN in California, and it's the Trinity Broadcasting Network, and that's all she watched, donating money. Imagine that, a poor person, donating money to these rich people. The TBN is they don't. Let me tell you, they're rich, millions upon millions of dollars, no commercials, all fully funded by people who watch them. Wow. Zero commercials ever.
Shit,
for years. Just look it up, TBN. And they have this big grand. Right. They have this big grand castle in Orange County, which is an area over here in California. Yeah, they're a problem, and this is just another layer, AFENI, on that we have to fight through. Like we have to, like, this is another layer. So we have propaganda coming from corporate media. Then you have, the Black church that's in bed with the Democratic Party because they might be getting kickbacks or some sort of funding, or they could just believe in the system. That's another category, AFENI. There's Black people who just believe in Barack Obama.
It's
You know what I'm
because
saying?
these are the same niggas that was out there marching with Martin. People forget that shit was not that long ago. Like, people watch their mamas, their grandmamas walk outside and do all that. So to like, and that's the reason why, like, it really sucks as a Black organizer sometimes, because a lot of Black people really see that shit as a win. And you know what? I remember how it crushed me to realize that Black people in this country have marched, have sang, have done all of the things we can do to actually get these small modicums of what they say is progress. And we're still asking for the same shit 60 years later. And so then you come to the realization that, damn, all the shit that they did back then didn't really mean nothing, because guess what? While niggas was voting and voting and voting through the 1970s and all the way up till now, guess what? Mass incarceration happened. Niggas voted for that. Niggas voted for Bill Clinton. That was everybody motherfucking president, wasn't it? That was niggas president. What? The 3-strike rule guy? Him? Are you serious? The dude whose wife called y'all super predators? That's y'all guy? Right? Like, oh my God. Like, I don't understand.
It's like we're conditioned to love our oppressor, because the oppressor is telling us up front, fuck you, motherfucker. Like he just said, I'm funding the police, Black people. I'm funding them, and you're gonna vote for me too. That's literally what they're saying. That's literally, and that's a good segue to this video you sent me. I was watching. I was trying to hold in my laughter while I was watching it, so no people didn't know I was watching it on the other side. But let's watch this video. This is a great video here. Okay, I think you can see it good. All right, let's rewind it, and here we go.
Y'all, I know a lot is going on right now, but we not re-electing this motherfucker in 2 years. On my mama, we not re-electing this motherfucker in 2 years. I feel like 2020 snuck the fuck up on us, and we were using these bitches as a placeholder. Now they gotta go. It's like talking to Siri with this bitch. We say cancel student loans. He says, did you mean send everybody back to the office during a pandemic? What the fuck?
Oh man, she puts it in a funny way, but she on point. On my mama. Your thoughts, AFENI?
Yeah, I'm just so excited to see that so many of my Black folks is not fucking with it. And I really hope y'all mean it this time, because y'all said that y'all wasn't gonna vote for Joe Biden's racist ass the first time, and y'all just got so fucking scared that for some reason, if Trump got reelected, things were just gonna be so much worse. Well, look, bitch, now we still got a second Trump term just without the funny tweets. So now what? Same policies, more drilling than ever before. That motherfucker is farther to the right of Trump on foreign policy. Now what? It is time. Like, I feel like Black people we're really the only voting demographic that will continuously vote against our own interests. Because let me tell you, there's like, white people don't do that. They don't do that. Republicans especially do not do that. Because even if they're like, fuck, okay, I have to sacrifice getting health care from these motherfuckers in order to be racist to these people, they think that racism is worth it. They think that border policy that's going to keep out those brown folks, they think that shit is worth it. Bombing all of these countries where all the brown people live,
they're for all of that. They're for all of that.
They don't give a fuck, bro. They don't give a fuck. Because you want to know why? 74% of white people in this country own their homes. So it gives you quite, it puts things in a perspective when you realize that they're more financially stable than we are. So they don't get rid, like they can say all day that they give as much of a fuck about financial policies we do, but there's a very small percentage of white leftists, I'm sorry to let y'all know, that actually exist. A majority of white people in this country are liberals and or conservatives. And if they are liberals and or conservatives, they are very, very much okay with voting for racism as long as it means that they get to keep their fucking paycheck.
Right. Right.
They're okay with voting for racism as long as it means that their property taxes will continue to fund good schools in their neighborhoods. They will continue to vote for racism every single time because guess what that means? That it means no public transportation in their neighborhoods. Black people can't live there. Guess what? Great. They'll vote for that every single time because they're voting for their best interest, which is to preserve whiteness. So we have to vote for our best interest, which is to not give a fuck about this country that don't give a fuck about us. Period.
We have to stop voting for him. And I know like black women is the block that they claim that they love, but they really don't, but they claim that they love. But black women are asking for defund the police too. So how are you hearing how Joe Biden's speech went in the black neighborhood? Like, have you been in a neighborhood and people are saying like that shit was some bullshit? Because I've been to a barbershop and like, yeah, they was like, fuck that nigga after he said that shit.
Basically,
what have you been hearing? Same thing.
I mean, of course you got your coons.
Yes, of course.
To tap dance, Vanessa. You forget I live in DC. So a lot of these motherfuckers like to tap dance. Okay, they like to perform. Okay, so
yeah, I think that a black mayor just came out, or a black mayor or sheriff just came out saying, "Yeah, I'm with Biden." It came out today. I saw the report today. Yeah, I'm with Biden is right. We need to give him more money. He had to find one black. They're gonna find a bunch of coons and bring them out to the front.
Bring out the niggas. Roll out.
Yeah.
Tell them that you like me right now, nigga. Yeah. Right now. What?
That is exactly it. Tell them that we want more funding. And it's like, black people want more police in there too. Who are you talking to? To the 65-year-old? You talked to my mom. I know you did, right? You talked to my mom. Yes, because she's been conditioned to think that is the way for a safer neighborhood by you. That's why she thinks that. So you telling me that black people are for a policy that is against their interests is telling me they're just propagandized. That's not proof to me. You get what I'm saying, AFENI? Like, if you tell me black people say, dark skin is bad and everybody got black skin has it, what is that saying? That's saying that they've been conditioned to think that. So anyway, I'm going off on a tangent into propagandizing people, but
they let me tell you something. They loved it. They ate that up. Like at least in the organizing spaces, some of them I was like, oh y'all was fucking with that. That's crazy. But that's because they're these motherfucking nonprofits, like they're paid to keep shit right here, right at bay. They don't want nothing to boil over. They don't want anything. They need to be right below the baseline. Because that's all they're here for, is to slightly maintain order. And things are happening because people are working on it.
And they can say that as AFENI, this is and I'm tying this together. It's like if you're a person who has a house, like you said, 75% of white people, or the 75% of white people live in homes, own their homes. So if you have that population, right? What would be important to them is not the same thing that's important to black people. So what I'm getting at is, if we team up with the Democratic Party, all of their leadership is white, all of their donors is white, they're going to be doing things for white people. How do black people ever get the things done that they need to get done? How do indigenous people ever get the things done that they need to get done? Like, how does it ever happen? Through electoralism.
It doesn't. Here's the thing, since I feel like we're kind of rolling into the next topic. Yes. I know, I want to tread. I'm going to tread very lightly here. So, I mean, with everything that's happening in the third party space right now, let's just be everything that's happening within the third party space right now. I'm going to be I always like to say things that people hate me for, apparently, because a lot of things I say don't come off well. How do I, as an organizer, go out into the black community after they watch that bullshit ass speech and they know, like, damn, I might not support this shit next time. Fuck is going on? How do I, as an organizer, go to them and say, all right, y'all, stop voting for the Democratic Party. Vote for this person instead. Vote for this party instead. And there's no party infrastructure to point to. We've had so many years. There was a whole mass movement of millions of people in 2020. What did the third parties do? Did they gain any political influence through that mass movement? Did they do any mass registration of voters that knew that voting for, I mean, I understand it was an election year for the president, but did they even try to collect a critical mass of voters to support an agenda that would actually support the left? No. Did they convince Bernie Sanders to still keep running, even though the Democratic Party tried to stamp him out? Did they convince him to take his critical mass of delegates and continue to run until we actually got real concessions? These same motherfuckers that was working on some of their campaigns, by the way. Yeah, so it's not like you didn't have the access.
That's true.
Where's it at? Because I can tell y'all right now, people say that voting is the laziest way to get engaged. If you are a single mom that's working 2 or 3 jobs, you have kids, you got to make sure your kids eat, you got to make sure you get to your jobs, you got to make sure that they got clothes on their back, they got shoes on their feet, you got to make sure that they socks not dirty. You know what I'm saying? And if you're a mom, you know all of this takes time. You see what I'm saying? Like, this is not... How the hell are you going to tell somebody that the one little piece of change that they feel like they're doing isn't enough? Like, that's not where you can... I'm sorry, you just can't start a conversation there. You just can't. Especially if you don't have a solution like, bang, all right, cool. This is the reason why I don't want you to vote the Democratic Party, because I got something better. Turn around and see the beautiful third party that doesn't exist. I'm so frustrated because I want so badly for things to change. Did somebody say don't have kids you can't afford? Hold the fuck up. Paul.
Oh. People, we gotta know. People jump in the chat just to agitate. You understand? Like, so this could be that.
Anyway.
Yeah, they just jumping in there just to agitate, just to throw us off.
But yeah, no, like, it's not good enough. It's not good enough if we don't have an actual infrastructure behind us. And we've had plenty of time and opportunity at this point. So it's like, what the fuck, y'all? Because I can tell y'all, and people don't want to hear it, but there are way more black people that are not going to let go of that ballot box than there are black people that are. And guess what them niggas going to keep doing? Them niggas going to keep tap dancing their asses to the polls to vote for Joe Biden and Democrats like him. So we have, like, there needs to be a real fundamental challenge. And what's really frustrating about what's happening right now is instead of the fact that, like, there are very significant critiques that should have been made up until now, but because they're being made in conjunction with other accusations that are happening, they're not being heeded correctly. Those accusations are valid, but at the same time, there's a long history of no production that needs to be looked at, needs to be examined.
Right.
Because y'all keep saying like y'all want a third party infrastructure. Y'all want real change. Y'all want to challenge power. Well, there are really hard fought ways to do that. So are we going to do that or not? Are we going to organize? Yes or no? Are we going to canvass to make sure that there are people, that people in our communities know that these third parties exist and what they stand for? Are we going to actually make sure that these third parties don't look like the Democratic Party and aren't white led and white heavy? Let's be very clear. Because at the end of the day, like, we cannot continue to let the representation of our oppression, which is white men, continue to lead us into a space where they clearly have no fucking clue what the hell they got going on, because you're not closest to the pain. If you're a cisgendered, heterosexual white man, what, like, exactly what social movement are you leading? Into what? Into what? If you're working class, that's one intersection of oppression. Now imagine the interlocking oppression that is being black, that is being trans, that is being disabled, that is also being working class. And then be a femme on top of that. Try that. Like, what the fuck, bro? I'm honestly, bro, like, I don't care how people don't like that I say this shit. Movements can no longer be white-led. If we want a serious social movement that is going to challenge the power and deconstruct oppression in every single fathomable way that we experience it, then it cannot be from the motherfuckers that manufactured the oppression. I'm sorry.
It's the same thing I say. It's the same thing I say, AFENI, that I love the way you put it. I'm going to start using that because I have this long explanation. You can't be the furthest away from the pain source and be the person who has the mic leading. Like, you're not going to effectively lead the people that need the help the most. You're just not. And that's what we're seeing with the left infrastructure media. That's what we're seeing on a larger scale with the whole United States political system. Everybody in power, everybody that has the ability to influence power is white. That's all they care about. That's why nobody else gets nothing done. Nobody else. We're always tugging, always at the edges of things. Like, we're bargaining for $15 and we might get it in 10 years when we now need $55 an hour. You see what I'm saying? So it's a daily struggle. But let me play you this video, because what you said brought me back to the appearance I had on the Bree show. Now, this is sped up for speed. This is my voice. Somebody clipped it and sped it up. I'm not sure why they sped it up. So I do talk fast, but listen to what I say about electoral politics here. Oh, the hell just happened here? My bad. I thought I was there. 1 second. Okay, here we go. Oh, damn it. All right, let's remove it out. All right, so let's start over and do this again. Anyway, it's the appearance. I went on Bree's call-in show. So it's a new
together.
Yeah, I know. I know for the audience.
Oh, right.
But yeah, for the audience that hasn't.
So I quit podcasting. Y'all, I'm not good at it.
Yeah, you're gonna because your voice is gonna you're in this clip. That's why I want to play it. But let me find it again and then I'll play it. But one of the clips I do want to play is this one where it addresses what you're bringing up here about third parties, which is it's like we're asking people to ditch the duopoly, and in particular, if we're asking a black person who believes that, hey, my ancestors died for voting, so I'm voting for somebody. We don't have another option. So what do we do? Like, what do we do at this juncture? And I think that this reflects, AFENI, on the black community's loss of their revolutionary roots, because the black community has always gotten things done by our feet, by protest, by like that is our history, in particular in this country. That is our history. So the fact that we're not falling back on that just naturally is concerning. But you and I, AFENI, people like us, we're the ones that have to bring this back. Now I have the clip here set up. So let me now share it with you. There is a couple of them. This first one may not be the one where you're talking, but I'm gonna play this one just because I don't want to keep looking for something else. This one, I believe, yeah, this one is about electoral politics. But the point, I think, is a good point, and I'll talk about it on the other side. The last point I want to make is this: us not being able to locate third-party candidates, the Democratic Party being as awful as they are, it's like staring all of us right in the face. Electoral politics is done. We're not getting anything done through electoral politics. It's staring us right in the face, but we're refusing to accept that as a movement because there's some of us who don't want to be in the streets doing the work. That's literally what's happening here. Is that it's people that don't want to take it there yet. So let's beat this dead horse some more. And I'm here, and I think RBN is here to say, let's shake everybody awake. This is over. This is over. And that's the point. I think I felt like that's what I got from what you were saying about just not having a real third party option, even after several years in this particular new third party that we're talking about. It's like, are we going to put our efforts into more third parties, or are we going to really roll our sleeves up and it's time to get to work? Like, we're avoiding it. We're trying to, like, we're not getting nothing through the Democratic Party. We see that we're progressives. You see how hard it is to find third-party candidates, let alone get them elected. Like, what other options do we have, AFENI, but our feet, but our fist? What other options do we have?
But, we got, but anyway. But no, like, here's the thing. Like, I be trying to tell people, like, I'm not unrealistic. I'm very aware that I can't go outside and do the things that I want to do by myself. Because I'll get arrested. I'll go to jail. And that's dumb. You know what I'm saying? That's counterproductive to the entire point. But I am just wondering, like, how much longer are we going to wait for that? Like, how much longer are we going to wait? Like, are y'all ready? Like, are you ready yet? You ready now? Like, we're literally watching in real time how much our government doesn't give a fuck about us. People give so little of a fuck about Black people that Black people in another country were literally telling us that they were experiencing racism and being withheld in a war-torn country. And white people on the left were saying that it was Russian propaganda. It was lies. The Black people were being used by Putin and lying about racism. Like, that shit isn't a real fucking thing that happens not only outside of this country, because it was racism and white supremacy was manufactured in Europe and shipped and exported over here. So I was dumbfounded to see that. If that does not make you angry, I don't know what else will. If it doesn't make you angry to know that you voted for somebody, you marched and you fucking organized for someone who literally turned around and spit back in your face. If it doesn't anger you that we voted for a Black man, that man is biracial. He was born to a white mama. As far as I'm concerned, your race goes by your mama. And if you came out of a white country, sir. Anyway. Anyway.
No, because I've said this many times. Not many times. I try not to say it as much, but I've said this and I've tweeted this, that he is not the first Black president to me, because he didn't even come in contact with a Black male regularly until he was an adult. So, like, no, he is not. And he is at best, you can say, the first biracial president. That's the best you can get, because to me, he does not go down as the first Black president. How are you going to be the first Black president and Black shit get worse under you? That don't make no fucking sense at all.
That doesn't make you violently angry? That doesn't make you violently angry? That this black man that was raised by this white woman that had literally, mother was a CIA agent. White mama who was a CIA agent. Raised by his white ass grandma in Hawaii, which is a colonized white ass fucking place, right? Colonized, like, and like the area he lived in was white as fuck, and he had money. Like, y'all, if that, like, please, please.
Being black is an experience. Being black is an experience. It's not only this. This makes us have the experience, but just having this doesn't. So it's like, I don't know what name to give it, but he does not go down as the first black president. But anyway, go back to the original point. I know we kind of jumped out of the conversation. But what was your point, though, about him being biracial and in his politics as such?
Here's the thing, like, we've seen it. We've done this. We've done the civil rights movement already.
Right.
We've done that. So, I was on a panel like last month or something with like an older black woman, like a representative from one of them M states in the middle of the country, child. I think it was Mississippi, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, she was basically telling me, like, the Democrats are so great and blah, 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 blah. And we just have to keep voting because we all fought for the right to vote. And it's like, yes, I understand. I respect my elders and I respect the work that y'all put in. And I don't want to tell y'all that our work doesn't mean anything, because at the end of the day, I truly believe that if we continued on with, like, Jim Crow laws and all that stuff, like, we wouldn't even be able to be sitting here having this conversation. Like, I do believe, like, shit could be worse, but is shit really that much better? That's what we have to ask ourselves. It could be worse. We could have, we could still be out here, drinking from colored water fountains and stuff, I guess. But honestly, ask yourself.
That's how everything is framed for black people. There's no other community. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Everything is framed that way. Yeah, there's police brutality, but it could be worse. It could be this, but we come a long way. It's like, motherfucker, we've been here 500 years. What the fuck? Or if not longer. Like, why is it? What do you mean? Like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean? Like, we've come a long way. Like, how much long way are we gonna go here? Like, it's the just acceptance of, yeah, black people are bad. Like, you bring this up in liberal circles. Yeah, black people, yeah, that's bad. They do all of this. Oh, that's awful. That's terrible. But it's never a solution after that. It's just, oh, okay. All right. And then it's just back to life. You get what I'm saying? Nothing is ever fixed. Like Joe Biden says, yeah, there's a problem with the crime bill, maybe. Okay, so that means you're going to repeal it. You're going to fix it. No. Just that's it.
No, it's a problem.
That's it.
It's the same way I feel about white people doing land acknowledgements. Don't acknowledge the land if you're not gonna give it the fuck back. Let's do.
Wait. So tell me the land acknowledgement. You mean like when they say, oh, this is when they plant their flag?
Like, this is Piscataway land. Like, I'm on occupied Piscataway land. Whenever white people do that, I'm like, but are you going to give it back?
It's funny.
Like,
so you have to do more than identify the problem. And I feel like this is where we give too much credence to white leftists. White leftists with Mike, Marianne Williamson's, for example. It's like you are just espousing the things that all of us want. So that's why people kind of say, hey, let's support her. But what are you doing? You get what I'm saying? Because people can say one thing up front to get you to believe something and then not do it in the background. So to me, if you're not strategizing outside of electoral politics, because even if you're into electoral politics, AFENI, the most effective way for your electoral politics plan to be carried out is if you also put pressure through direct action. That's how the Civil Rights Bill was passed. It was because you have the bill written up and then you put outside pressure. So even if you believe liberal, even if you believe leftists who want to vote for, more progressive, even if you believe that, you can't do that only. It has to come with direct action. what are your general thoughts on that, or any part of that?
You know, and like I try to put things into context of, you know, like what the time was back then. That type of direct action that they were doing was radical as hell. You know, niggas like Emmett, like I think of Mammy Till putting Emmett Till's picture all over the cover of Jet magazine when the government and the sheriff of the county in Mississippi that he died in tried everything to keep that body in Mississippi and make sure that no one ever saw it. That woman put her life on the line and put that on Front Street, on the front of Jet magazine for national distribution. That's radical. Black people like marching in Selma, that was radical. Then they done seen us march across about 50-11 bridges now. They done seen so many of us die on video. We saw George Floyd. We saw the video with Sandra Bland. We heard about Freddie Gray. Who else? We saw Mike Brown. We saw Philando Castile. We like how many more motherfucking people do? Like we seen it, and it's not radical. It's not shocking. It's not. It doesn't do. It doesn't do the same thing but back then, it was unthinkable for anyone to put their family member on anything looking like that. And she did that because she wanted the whole entire country to see what white supremacy looks like in real time. We see it now. All the time. We hear about it all the time. Another black man just got shot in LA 33 fucking times. 33 times. We know that this is happening. We can no longer do the same shit. It's not going to take a march, a chant, and a Negro spiritual to save this one. We can't do that. Stop fucking paying your taxes. Stop paying your student loan debt. Stop paying the debt. Stop going to work. Stop buying from these fucking white institutions. Stop participating. Do you know how many fucking insurance companies were slave insurance brokerage firms when they first fucking started? Wells Fargo, de-invest. Get all of your money out of Wells Fargo because Wells Fargo literally started as slave insurance. Take all your money out. Like, we have to stop participating in shit that does not fucking serve us. We have to stop giving our money, our time, and our labor to shit that does not serve us. And that is how they'll fucking wake up. Because it is not, I'm sorry. Like, you understand how many chants I've done, how many marches I've been to, how many different like types of direct actions we have done. We've shut down traffic. We've occupied this space, slept outside on that. They don't give a fuck. Because guess what? We can protest all we want, but guess what they worried about? Us paying the motherfucking taxes. And guess what we do? We go outside, we protest, we chant, we scream, and we still give them our labor. We still give them our fucking taxes. Period. So until we stop doing that, we will continuously run into the same fucking shit. They've kicked it up a notch. White supremacy kicked it up a notch. Okay? It's time for us to kick it up a motherfucking notch too.
Man, I'm ready to go right now, especially after hearing that. But we have to do the groundwork. I don't see any other way of doing this. And I was talking to Rome about this. Like, we're gonna have to do this like a campaign. And one of the ways we're gonna do this is like in Skid Row, we're gonna make that a second home where we're like Rome's vision is in a year he want to be down there with a DJ, feeding people, clothing people, educating people about a revolution. We have to build this community. So what you're talking about, I'm talking about two different things here, but let me go into what you were talking about just now. It's about building a community outside of the government. That's what it's really about. It's about building an infrastructure irregardless of the government. Just think of that. We have the money. So instead of going to Amazon, instead of going to Walmart, instead of going to, those places, if you went to your local We the People store, meaning like this has been identified as being owned by We the People. This is an identifying marker. Shop here. If we all agree, yes, it might be a little less convenient. Yeah, we can't order it and it's here in 24 hours. But guess what?
Maybe they don't have all the things that you like.
Exactly. But
Maybe
guess
they
what?
don't have your favorite snack.
And also, AFENI, you taking 2 days, being able to wait 2 days to get that product allows us to keep control of our community. You don't think that's a good trade-off? Yeah, you can't get it in 24 hours. You get it an extra day. And you have, instead of come to your door, you got to drive and go get it 10 minutes away from your house. You don't think that's a good trade-off to be economically in control of your own city? To be in a community, an infrastructure, a financial infrastructure where I'm going to be good. My community will make sure I'm good if I fall, and I will make sure my community members are good if they fall. AFENI, go ahead.
Yeah, and something I really like, what people also need to understand is like that would fundamentally change the structure of this country. Fundamentally. Mm-hmm. Like, so there are a lot of things that we get in this country that are so-called commodities, that are so-called comforts, privileges. You know what I'm saying? Like the infrastructure that we have, the fact that most of our country has access to decently clean drinking water, and the fact that we can't say all of it is a fucking shame in the richest country in the world. But anyway, most of our country has decent drinking water. Most of our country has decent infrastructure, whether that's roads or whatever. Most of it has that. And so that's the reason why they feel like they can abuse us, is because these comforts, like, well, if you look at other countries, you'd have to, like, you wouldn't have indoor plumbing. You wouldn't have, electric and all. Who gives a fuck about any of that? Because you know what? I can tell y'all right now that none of this shit matters if we do not have the right to basic humanity in this country. Yeah, you're free in this country. Yeah, you have access to all of the infrastructures and the luxuries of this country if you can afford it. And affording it, good luck. Like, good luck. Is it really worth it? Is this lifestyle really worth it if a majority of the country can't even fucking participate in the comforts that this country says that it has? Yes. Is it worth it to be able to, like, I'm so honest about this, y'all. Like, I grew up middle class. I grew up spoiled as fuck. So I love things, y'all. AFENI loves things. I'm consumer, okay? I promise you, I will give all of this shit up for real liberation, because you know what the most important thing to me is? My humanity and my existence on this planet. And, I can exist without all of these things. I can exist without having 100 and however many pairs of shoes that I have. I can exist without all of that. But I cannot exist without fucking healthcare. I cannot exist without some type of housing and shelter. I cannot exist with, like, there are certain things that, make a human's life, human, that I cannot live without. And so these are the things that I am okay with having as long as I have liberation. I'm okay with having the basic bare minimum, because I know that there is no better feeling than feeling actually free. And unless you are fucking rich as hell in this country, you are not free, because your time, a majority of your time, belongs to someone else. And it belongs to, and is obligated to something else. I'm sure a lot of you motherfuckers are not working jobs that you want to work, which means your time is being spent doing shit that you hate, which means you are not free. If you have to spend 2 hours commuting to your job, you are not free. Because that's time that you're obligating in order to survive in this country.
That's true.
Having a 2-day weekend when you actually have work to do on the weekends, you lay down, blink, and it went from Friday to Sunday, and you wake up it's Monday. That's not freedom.
Yes.
That's not freedom. So I'm okay giving up all of this shit because at the end of the day, nothing's gonna feel better than knowing that I'm going to be able to get food, water, healthcare, and everyone in my community be able to get the same fucking thing too. And I really hope that because we have all this infrastructure, our communism looks a little more modern than the last bouts of communism. It's already here, y'all. We might as well use it, is what I'm saying. I'm not saying luxury is the main thing, but I'm just saying it's already here. So we should put it to use. You see what I'm saying? We're not wasteful. But yeah.
Absolutely. So what I had a couple of questions for you I had written down about the left, because we wanted to talk about the left. How do we strategize to gain power in the next 2 years? That was kind of the conversation that we were gonna the second topic we were gonna talk about. But my first question in that topic to you would be, how would you describe the American left, the state of the American left? Like, would you describe it as being sufficient, solid, needs little work, a lot of work, not enough people? Like, how would you describe it?
Other left movements globally are laughing at us. Like, I know, like the other left movements that are around the globe, like the labor parties and the green parties and the socialists and communist parties of other countries. I know they're looking at us like, what the fuck is going on? Like, are y'all actually speaking to each other? Like, are y'all trying to win? Or is it just what it is? Like, y'all just don't give a fuck. Because here's the thing. We are not even like the things that we are asking for, bro. Other countries already have them. Like, we're asking for healthcare, bro. Like, other countries are past that on their left. They're trying to do some other shit. You know what I'm saying? They've been there, done that 100 years ago.
Yes.
100 years ago. The bordering country up towards the bordering country above us to the north, they got universal health care in like the 1920s or 30s, bro. Like, we are so behind. And it's just so crazy because it's like, I feel like now more than ever, we have the capacity to organize not only across the country, but across the fucking globe. Mm-hmm. We could be getting tips, tricks. We could be organizing with so something that I like to do is I like to also talk to the other organizers and other activists from other countries. I talk to organizers and activists from Egypt, Colombia. I talk to organizers from Venezuela. Like, and we get together every once in a while and we just kind of just talk about like everything that's happening on our sides of the earth and like how all of our struggles are interconnected. If we were doing that on a mass scale where it was like the Communist Party of our country was talking to the Communist Party of London, right, and they were coordinating like, here's how we did it. Here's how you should do it. Or they're using like use your leverage. Like, we have the internet. We can do anything now. Like, we have global shipping. If you want to mail a letter to anywhere, anytime, in the world, you can do that. Like, if y'all don't want to organize this way, if y'all want to try to we're gonna coordinate an international panel. Let's do something though, because there are way too many people on the left that have power, privilege, platforms that claim that they want change, but we can't get anywhere. And it's like it's not like left movements don't work, because people are doing general strikes all over the fucking globe. India just fought there are farmers in India that just fought off privatization of their fucking farmlands. It was like that's somewhat the context. Oh God, I should have read this right before I got on here. Anyway, so there were millions of them marching for months to fight off privatization. And guess what? They won because it works. It's just like there are so.
What's the difference? What are the people, when you talk to people, can they identify what the difference, what have you identified when you look at India and they're doing it, and you know, the yellow jackets and like, what is the difference? Is it that we're under so much propaganda? Is it that we've been propagandized for so long? Is it that we are living too semi-good, like the majority of population is living too good, the white population is living too good? Like, what exactly is the difference in your opinion?
I just honestly, it's really bad because some of the people that I talk to, like I have a comrade named Elias that meets in the international group. I cannot remember. Oh my god, I wish I could remember what country he's from. Oh, that's the worst. There's like 11 of us. But so Elias, he just says that we're a little lazy. Like he just said, like straight like that. Americans are lazy and selfish, and that's the reality. And if people continue to feel like their personal comfort is more important than the collective good, then we'll continue to keep yelling into the void. It's simply not enough to just complain your way out of oppression. You just can't do it. Like, we have to organize. We have to support strikes. Somebody said that strikes are catchy. Strikes are very catchy. Striketober was a real thing.
Yeah, that was real.
Like Striketober into Strikevember, whatever people else called it. Like that's a real thing. And we should continue to support strikes wherever we see them in this country, because the more workers we have on strike, the more militant labor power we have, the more chance that we have that we're actually gonna fucking change something. And on top of that, as Black people, it is
1 second. Oh, I'll wait till you come back on. AFENI froze a little bit. There she goes. All right, so I'll put you back on now.
Can you see me?
All right, you're back. Yeah, now you're back. I took you off screen because I know you didn't want to be on if it's frozen. Uh-oh, did it freeze again? Oh no, I can hear you now. There it goes. All right, so yeah, now everything looks good.
No, but like for real, like we have to, like, ever since the 1930s or 40s, whatever time period that was, the FDR did the New Deal and the labor protections and all that stuff. Yeah, bro, like we was not included in that. Black people were not included in that. We were not included in labor organizing for a long stretch of time. There's the Dodge Revolutionary Workers Movement, which was a Black revolutionary union movement that everyone should definitely research.
Mm-hmm.
The Dodge Revolutionary. Yes. Anyway, but yeah. So like, other than that, like we've been left out of this shit. So we have to educate our folks on what militant labor even looks like, what it looks like to withhold our labor. We have to educate our folks on, the importance of being more socialist, especially as a Black person, because we have to protect our community in some way. And having some sort of equity in this country, this very white, very, racist ass country, it has to come from some basic human protections. Period.
So we got, I mean, the thing about me sometimes, AFENI, this is how I get my hand into so many things, is that when I hear stuff, we need to do this, and if I keep hearing somebody keep saying we need to do this, then I just say, you know what, I'm about to do this shit then. So I'm hearing that we need to do something, and I'm getting the itch, AFENI, to say it's time for us to physically do something, because we've had the conversations, and we can have conversations as we're physically moving forward. We can continuously have these conversations as we physically move forward, but it just feels like on the left, we're stuck on the having conversation mode, debating about policy mode, instead of, okay, we've decided something, now let's move forward with a strategy. And I don't know who's going to get that started. I don't know if it's going to be, I see with the Poor People's Campaign. Have you checked out the Poor People's Campaign they're doing in June. They're doing some sort of I forget the name of it. Let me bring it up so I can talk about it better for him.
Here's the thing about the Poor People's Campaign. I hate Ben Jealous.
And he is what part of the Poor People's Campaign? I know he's part of, but what did he tell people? Because I know Ben Jealous, but tell people who don't know who he is. What about him rubs you the wrong way? What did he do? What is your gripe with him?
Well, Ben Jealous basically said like, oh well, defund the police is the reason why the Democrats are losing. Like he said that on Bree's podcast like a couple of months ago. And also like he ran for governor of Maryland. And he was very close to winning. He's a liar as far as I'm concerned. Like Ben Jealous, I don't see Ben Jealous out here fighting hard in the streets for radical policies. I hear him faking like it. I hear him capping. But he's definitely, like somebody said in the chat, very big Democrat. Very big Democrat.
Is he's associated with this march or this strike that the Poor People's Campaign is doing?
I need to look because
I mean, unless he just tweeted it out, I'm not familiar with it. But basically, for those who are unfamiliar with it, the Poor People's Campaign is having some sort of, let me look it up, Poor People's Campaign. They're having some sort of direct action campaign that's starting in June, and supposedly it's supposed to be similar to like a general strike. Let's bring it up here. Oh, let me share my screen here so we can see this here. Is this the right one? I think this is the right one. Yeah. All right. Okay. Yeah. This is Poor People's Campaign. So let's go to their page. We can see this this thing that they're putting on here in June. Let's go to their.
Look at it.
Yeah. Anyway, I saw it on, I think he was on The Hill or Breaking Points or something like that, where he was talking about it. And oh yeah, this is it right here. Mass Poor People, Low Wage Worker Assembly and Moral March. Ooh, how the fuck? Oh, you got it up?
I'm looking at it.
No, I thought, how do I go back to that shit? Anyway, what the fuck? Oh, right here. Okay, this is the one I want to show.
So old.
Is this so? You've seen this already? When you say this is old?
No. I'm saying you old, but no, I ain't see that.
So June 18th. I guess I gotta keep doing this. June 18th. Mass Poor People and Low Wage Workers Assembly and Moral March on Washington and to the polls June 18th. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't hear this to the polls part. So all they're just gonna be doing is funneling people to the Democrats.
They got you.
Oh shit! They had it right on the front of their page. I didn't even see that at the top right there. Man, are you kidding me? Everything, AFENI, this is planned, it's co-opted. Oh, this is planned, it's co-opted. Like, now, I mean, I'm assuming that's what that means because it says and get people registered, because the only people I know that they're going to be registering for is trying to get people to vote for the Democratic Party, and that's not what I'm not for. I'm not for that. So let me look into that some more before we start promoting it. Had you heard that already? That is just kind of like a big thing for the Democrats.
I mean, anything I hear for the Poor People's Campaign, I'm sorry. As soon as I hear Poor People's Campaign, I think about Ben Jealous, and I automatically think it's gonna be some bullshit. Like I swear, every single time. Like I'm like,
you gotta let me know about some of this shit, because I had no I knew about Ben Jealous, that he was kind of that's the thing about these so-called black leaders. No, I hear you. Like that's the thing about black leaders, and let's talk about them. Black leaders, black capitalists, black leaders. More importantly, like they got half their foot in the movement, and then half their foot into corporatism. It's like they want to talk out. They want to be like, it's like the Congressional Black Caucus. Like, what do they fundamentally get done for the black community? Nothing really. But, you know, they'll do some voter registrations. Oh, we're doing some voter registrations foundations. We're doing this, you know, these civil rights programs, these civil rights foundations, but they never materially change things for the black community. They're just like, oh, we're helping a couple of underprivileged people, and look at that, we're a tax write-off, there we go, and that's it. And that's kind of the lane of our black leaders. I guess Ben Jealous can be kind of considered one of them. It's like where they do some good work, like they do some good things here and there, but then they're always kind of sheep herding people back to the Democratic Party, sheep herding people back to that same system.
I mean, honestly, like, I think that just being in this space, I'm gonna keep it a whole buck. Like, being in this space, I constantly hear from like my mentors, like older black people, like, oh, well, I mean, like, AFENI, I understand you're getting so frustrated, but you have to understand this is a marathon. This is a marathon, not a race. Like, that's a real like thing. Like, even like some of the more radical like mentors that I do have, like in the organizing space, black organizers would rather be like play it safe than, you know, like push too much and like fail. And I just think that we can't okay. I just think that we cannot continue to, I don't know. God damn. Sorry.
No worries.
No, I lost my train of thought.
They've lost their revolution. It feels like a lot of what I don't understand is a lot of boomers or older people who are fine with the status quo. These are the people that marched. Like, what happened to that revolutionary sort of spirit that the black community and black leaders used to have? Like, where is that? Because you're describing as they don't really want to push too hard. Like, what? Because
they're afraid of failure. That's what I was gonna say. So, like, you know, I feel like people see failure as a bad thing, and I think JB said something along the same vein a couple of shows back that I was watching of you guys', where it was basically like there is a lot of motivation in a failure. Like, we cannot be so afraid to fail that we don't try. Because if we do fail, I promise you, like, there will be a certain percentage of people that do get dejected and are like, oh, see, shit's always gonna be the same. Nothing's ever gonna change. Blah, blah, blah. You know, you're gonna have those people. You're gonna have those people. But you're also gonna have people that are like, all right, that ain't work. What's next? You know,
right?
Like, that didn't work out. Let's try something else. Like, it's about the pivot. We have to continuously pivot. Not everything is going to work out the first time, the second time, the third time. But it doesn't mean we don't keep fucking trying different methods to actually break this shit. We shouldn't keep trying the same shit over and over again. And the reason why these black activists and these organizers that are from the old generation, they're trying this same shit is because 60 years ago it worked.
It worked. Yeah.
So why wouldn't it work now?
We have to,
because we're not dealing with the same. We're not dealing with the same motherfuckers we were dealing with 60 years ago. The nonprofit industrial complex didn't exist 60 years ago. Like, there are so many different reasons why we cannot do this thing the same way that it was done in the 1950s and 60s. Like, white people is not spraying us in the street with hoses no more, y'all. They're not doing that. Right. So, like, you don't get the same imagery. Like, we've watched police brutality over and over again. Y'all, like, I got performatively arrested one fucking time in Louisville, Kentucky. And then I got arrested for real over and over again after that. There is nothing fun, cute, or anything about that experience. I will never get performatively arrested ever again, because to me, as somebody who's been actually arrested and gotten their freedom to snatch from them against my will, it's a slap in the fucking face to everybody that does not want to fucking be in there. You just here for a day because you got a day off work and you know.
Right.
Like, I need to get these photos off. What? What? No,
And people
that's
do
not-
that. People do that
it's not gonna
too.
work. It's not gonna work. We have to try different shit. We have to fail. We have to learn. And like Eric Brooks says, we have to win. Period.
Right. And the thing is, because I mean, maybe it's on purpose, but the civil rights movement was a long years in the making, and they failed. Some things fail, and then you win. Just because you heard of the win, the civil rights movement, the culmination of the bill, you can. There's lots of footage of where they talk. Yeah, we failed a lot of times. That's the nature of fighting. If it was so easy that you can win the first time, we would have already done it. We would have already done it. But AFENI,
our reparations check will be here.
Exactly. But we've come to the end of the stream. We actually went like almost an hour more than I normally do for this show. But you know, when we have a special guest as AFENI, we always like to go a little bit longer. And the thing is, AFENI, we could go for hours more on this topic, especially these two topics with Black youth and the state of Black youth and the Black community in general, and organizing with the Black community. And also like what's happening with the left, like what are we doing, how can we snatch power? So the final question we're gonna leave you with, I'm gonna ask you this as a closing question is, I mean, you described the left, the state that we're in. Is there a way for us as a left movement to come together, fix all our problems, and snatch power in the next 2 years? Is there a strategy to do that?
I honestly think that like we have to be very serious about what our litmus test is in order to be considered a part of the movement. And we have to realize who we should and should not listen to. We have to realize who our allies are and who they aren't. Now, for me personally, I'd rather talk to Hassan Piker's audience, not Hassan Piker, but his audience, because his audience are a bunch of young, people that want real change and stuff like that. And like, that's the reason why they listen to him, because they feel like they're getting some revolutionary communist manifesto. And it's really just not that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I want to tap in with those people because there's a real will to organize and to get active, because people can see it. A lot of that Bernie energy was because people wanted to be a part of that change. And that energy hasn't gone anywhere except for it's just decentralized. We're not all around one person. And that's the thing. Like, I believe in leaderless movements. Like, this is not just about, one person that can lead this movement into whatever. Like, no, like this is about the fact that we are all powerful when we stand together. Y'all, I stopped watching Hassan and I started watching Katie Halper and Aaron Mate and a bunch of other people. I'm doing better now. I'm doing better.
What do they mean? They love. What do they mean? You love you some Hassan Piker? Oh, you used to watch him. Oh yeah, you did tell me. You did tell me that.
I used to watch Hassan a lot, and on top of that, like a lot of it also had to do with the fact that I'm gay, as hell. Everybody knows this, but I did find him mildly attractive. It's like the desirability politics. Like everybody
I hear you.
Thing. So I
mean,
yeah, I fell for it. My bad, y'all. I'm out of it now. We better now.
But no, but I've had the same thing where a lot of these white leftist media figures, I was partially radicalized. They were part of my transition. You get what I'm saying? So I listened to the David Doles. I listened to, the Humanist Report. I didn't listen to the Majority Report. Never was on that. But I listened to these people who now I feel like I'm to the left of them. And so yeah, I get that. I guess Hassan is yours. Mine is David Dole, I guess. Case Study is in the comments. What's up, Case Study? Let me see if I can find it. There we go. Oh, what's up, Case? All right, so AFENI.
I definitely think that.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. You can finish the question.
Say, I just really want to. I just really want to get to a point on the left where we are all genuinely pushing for the same thing. Like, I'm not about to sit up here and tell people, like, this is a policy driven country, and that's by design. It's for a reason that this country is so policy and bureaucracy driven. So it's not to say that if y'all want to advocate for whatever type of voting, y'all can advocate for that, whatever. Just stop shitting on more radical actually get you something, because I promise you, all the people that push for electoral politics in France, they're not shitting on the yellow vest movement while they're doing it. They're just not doing it because they understand that that is an essential part of their democracy. Direct action and direct democracy is an essential part of progress. And so if you're not ready to do that, then you need to shut the fuck up. Period. It's really that. Like, don't shit on things that you're just not prepared to do. You're just a pussy. Say that. You a bitch. Say that. Period. We can accept that.
Right. I love that. I know somebody's gonna clip that little bite right there, and that's gonna be everywhere. All right, Afeni. Finally, we're gonna close this out. Where can we see you next? What direct action are you working on? What mutual aid are you working on? Anything you want to shout out before we sign off here?
Yeah. So I am So our grassroots organization, Freedom Fighters DC, is going to be relaunching soon. We hit a bit of a rough patch trying to reconfigure our organizing, moving from being a whirlwind organization into being an established, sustainable organization. That takes a little time, takes funding and all that good stuff. So we're trying to get all that together. We're finally in a more stable place. So we're really excited to launch our programming for you guys and our more radical and sustainable mutual aid model that does not look like revolutionary charity. Woo-woo. I'm also organizing with the Debt Collective for a mass action on April 4th in DC. It's around canceling student loan debt. We love a little performative action every now and then. So if you're in DC and you want to show up, you can. Another way to participate in that action also is to wear red on April 4th with your student loan debt displayed proudly on your chest. People know we need to fucking fix this shit right now. And people keep asking me where my podcast is. Y'all, I'm a terrible fucking podcaster. That's the reason why I quit podcasting. I'm very bad at being consistent because, activism and organizing is very full-time. Very, very full-time. So I will not be, doing the podcast thing. I'm really happy that CJ let me on his platform today. And I'm really grateful to be in community with all of y'all. And thank you.
Yeah, you'll see her on our platform another time. Is when the next time you'll see her. As far as streaming, we'll of course always love to have you on, Afeni. I do want to shout this out as we close out, and this is what I have going on. It's a third-party summit that I have coming up, and I would love to have you a part of it, Afeni, if you're able to join, because I also want people. This is not going to be a summit like you think. It's going to be very similar to the General Strike Summit, whereas I want people who are not for third parties. People who are saying, you know what? I was for third parties in 2016, but we're too far gone, and this is why. So we want to have every discussion around third parties, around strategies, actually, at this summit. So make sure you tune in. It's going to be I don't see the date on here, but it's March 18th through the 20th. That's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Not next weekend, not the upcoming weekend, but the following weekend. Make sure you check it out. People like Ryan McKnight, or I'm not saying Ryan McKnight, Ryan Knight will be participating. Tara Reid will be participating. Franco, Case Studies. A lot of the same faces you saw at the General Strike Summit will be participating with this summit. So make sure you tune in, because it's not just going to be, I think I'm going to change it to third party and strategies. I think we'll call this summit, because it's not just about third parties, but we'll have maybe 15, 20 candidates from third parties that'll be on their different panels talking, so you can get an idea of their platform, what they, what they're into. I think Katie Halpert is actually, I reached out to her. I think she's actually going to be participating also. So we'd love to have you, AFENI. If you got some time, just jump into one of the conversations, tell us what topic you want and we'll have you on. And then
I would definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll send you all the information by DM so that if you're able to join us. And then we have the International Solidarity Summit that's going to be in April. That's the big one that we're going to be having. So that's case study. Can't wait to have more conversations among the left and watch the third party summit. Absolutely. Case study is going to be part of it. So, all right, everybody. Thanks again to AFENI for joining me for this episode. I'm going to be signing off here. Got to take off. Thank you. It's time for a revolution. We can't win this through the ballot box. Let's make sure we understand that we're educating each other and move forward with this revolution. So, signing off now. Thank you for joining us.